some of you keep laughing about 3 hours, what's going to happen? That's what Kulu turns the symptoms. Okay? So here we introduce you most of these microorganisms, at least recognizable. We want to mention that in this classroom, we will talk about the bacteria. That's our major focus because of the time limited. We only had 1 semester, we never talk about everything. Fungi, we will be mentioned in the fermentation section. There's 1 lab section. We will to see the isolation pathogenic modes from a very molded brain. So fungi, we will mention a little bit. And protozoan, you have a separate class for that. Virus, we will mention at the end of the class. Okay, last thing before we finish this slides. What the other name called for bacteria? We call it precaryotes. Is that right? Precaryotes. What is the other name for fungi? Eukaryotes. What does the kia mean? This is the Greek word, means a canal. Canal. And it is an open floor system. So which means every single organelle, they are screwed together. They don't have a membrane system to separate it. What means the eukaryotes? What's EU means? True. Because you have a membrane system for that. You separated them, they are advanced, and each of these are highly individual functional. Okay, so that's something we want to mention in addition to that. Okay, next one we want to talk is classification schemes, how to do that. We have a lot of the genetic tools we can do. We could using is rRNA, that is called a ribosome RNA, to determine the genetic distance. The nearer the closer or the nearer the distance, which means they are relative. Which means they are close relationship. Therefore, we could categorize them into same group. They did a bunch of work, and what they finally found is right there on the slides. So, most likely, for all the microorganisms, we could separate them into 3 domains, which is bacteria, eukarya, and archaea. That is a 3-domain system for classification microorganisms. Okay, it's based on the genetic information of the ribosome. Okay, next 2 slides. Bacteria is always bad. Bad bugs. Yes, they cause disease. Start from the next week. We will talk about E. coli a little bit more. E. coli is always bad. Cause diarrhea, urinary tract infection. We will have that in the lab. Salmonella, we just mentioned, the food poisoning, especially poultry meats. And the virus, COVID-19, flu, hepatitis, they're always bad. Look at the slides how bad it is. The fish, bacterial infection of the fish, vibrio could be. Conjunctiveness of the eye. Okay, be careful. When you have a conjunctiveness of the eye, it's not a skin disease. Most likely some people will have chlamydia, which is a sexually transmitted disease. It's pretty horrible. Ammonia will cause the tomato blossom and the rot. Strep's rot. There's another joke for you. Before the COVID-19 happened, during my first teaching here 5 years, I always have excuse students not coming to the lab section is because I have a Strep's rot. So what's the pathogen for Strep's rot? Is Streptococcus pyogenes. You in the tonsil area, you have a strawberry-shaped red dots there. It's a Strep's rot. But I want to tell you, most of them are not. I'm not saying you lie to me, because most of you get is maybe a common cold. Strep's rot is a very invasive disease. We'll talk about that later on. Okay? So that's a Strep's rot. Last slides today. Bacteria sometimes is good, is that right? We call it a beneficial bacteria. We mentioned about the fermentation, alcoholic beverages. Antibiotics. That is a metabolic component from fungi to kill bacteria. Insecticides, and you also like lots of the fermented products, like cheese, yogurt, sour cream. What is a major bacteria for the fermentation? Is lactic acid bacteria. We call it a lactose fermentation. They will be separated into hetero and the homo fermentation based on the final products. Okay, so today we finish these slides. We talk about overview of microorganisms, and Tuesday we're going to talk about the history. Start from vaccination.